And that is a good way to spend a Thursday afternoon, Dawg Nation. How you doing? I'm Brandon Adams, and we are basking in the glow of a big-time win on the recruiting trail for the Georgia Bulldogs as four-star running back Branson Robinson, mere moments ago, you see the beautiful graphic on the screen right there, announces his commitment to the University of Georgia. Very, very impressive prospect all the way around. Number 4 running back in the country here for 2022. Number 46 player in the country according to the 24/7 Sports Composite team ranking. Number 1 player in the very talent-rich state of Mississippi. A beautiful video you see of him right there in his hometown with his high school football uniform on, and that uniform will soon be traded for the red jersey, the silver breeches, who knows, maybe even the black jersey so from time to time there as well. But Branson Robinson is going to be a Bulldog here. This is an incredible piece of good news for Georgia 2022 class that could probably use a little bit of momentum. You get some of that with Robinson right now. Of course, for Georgia here this year, he becomes the 12th total commit, the 11th commit rated 4 stars or better, and for a Georgia team that started the day ranked 9th in the country according to the 24/7 Sports Composite team ranking, that number likely to still climb. Hello, everybody. This is a Kroger commitment special with Branson Robinson now on board with the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll obviously react to everything that has gone down from here on this. We'll give you a chance to react on this too as Georgia fans celebrate some good news for the program. And I think one of the things that for me stands out as most interesting with all of this is just how different the Robinson recruitment plays itself out to be in comparison to some of the other recruiting battles that we followed over the years, where there's drama, there's twists and turns, there's intrigue, there's sometimes even a swerve. You think a player's going this way and a player goes the other way. We even saw one of those famed hat tosses the other day when Dalen Everett threw the North Carolina hat to the side and the defensive back chose Clemson there instead. Robinson has chosen to forego all of that drama throughout this entire process. He has been very clear from seemingly very early stages over the course of the last few months that Georgia was the school that he had his eye on more so than others. And you're almost left to wonder, is it really going to be this drama-free for Branson Robinson the entire way? In fact, it sort of seemed like if you're watching on the streaming network, CBS Sports HQ, the only drama related to the commitment announcement that we just saw from him was when the anchor was going to finally let him say what he was there to say. And, you know, seemingly it was the TV folks who are going to drag this out. Robinson himself, when he finally got a chance to be at the podium, when he finally got a chance to speak into the microphone, made clear what has, for the most part, been clear for a while, that Georgia was going to be his school. So we're going to take some of your comments on this. We'll give you a chance to weigh in. And I also want to kind of go back in time here for a moment and set the scene with all of this, even prior to the pivotal visit that Robinson recently took to Georgia that ultimately sealed the deal. Robinson, as I said before, was very clear in describing how he viewed Georgia and where Georgia ranked within his own personal hierarchy. Here is Robinson, in his own words, recently spoken to Dawg Nation, with kind of his mindset from weeks ago ahead of what ultimately became his commitment decision here today.
It's no secret now it's number 1 right now. But, I just want to get the feel for everything. I just want to go down there, see how everything is, because, I just don't want to, if I commit there, I just don't want to be there the first time I go down there after I commit. I want to see how everything is, and that's all that is.
So he wanted to see the visit, wanted that to go well. Apparently it did. And in that same interview with Jeff Sintel, Robinson also was good enough to describe some of those reasons why Georgia ultimately stood out as his lead school, as he very clearly stated in the quote you just heard. Robinson talked about that family connection that he has to some of those Georgia coaches, the running backs coach Dale McGee included, and obviously that's a big part of why Robinson making the decision that he made today. Here is more of Robinson to add some context to all of that.
Why is Georgia still your number 1?
It's just the relationship with, different coaches, Coach Smart, Coach McGee, pretty much the whole coaching staff. And it's just the bond that I got, especially with Coach McGee, just talk about certain things and stuff like that. Not on and off the field. Sometimes it's just about life and stuff like that. So, it's just really the coaching staff that really pulls me towards Georgia right now.
How would you describe your relationship with Coach McGee?
I would say he's more like another father, I would say. Nobody is your father, but, we talk about things, not things like considering football. Some things he talk about his wife and kids and talk about how my day went at school and how my grades are and stuff like that. It's just certain stuff like that.
I think if you're a Georgia fan, one of the things that makes you feel good is those statements of Robinson describing his relationship with McGee. It's the kind of thing you've heard before, right? It's the impact that Dell McGee would have made on Kendall Milton. It's the impact that McGee would have made on DeAndre Swift before that. And, kind of on and on you could go of those running backs that have chosen Georgia, and Dell McGee being a central figure as to why. There is no doubt, even though McGee's now been with this program for quite some time and one of those faces and voices and figures that Georgia fans have just kind of gotten used to seeing around the program, his impact still being felt today as much as it always has. And, of course, our Dawg Nation recruiting insider Jeff Sentell on vacation here this week, not able to be with us live in coverage of what's going down with Robinson here today, but I did have a chance to talk to Jeff Sentell about Robinson on Friday, and the same point that I made with you a moment ago about the relatively, seemingly drama-free nature of Robinson's recruitment. I asked Jeff if he was noticing the same thing and if he expected that to continue up until the moment you just heard with Branson Robinson choosing UGA. Jeff said yes, he did, and kind of put into words exactly what this has been like for Branson and UGA over the last few days. Here is our Jeff Sentell.
We've been talking about Branson Robinson and all the signs from his teammates saying the Power G, the Nick Chubb 2.0, the Zeus nickname, the Herschel Walker documentary, the fact he didn't want to leave Georgia on his official visit. This is a different commitment, Walt, for a guy that's just kind of seemed match made in heaven with Georgia for quite some time now.
A match made in heaven with Georgia for quite some time now. That's how Jeff Sentell describes that, and certainly I'm sure plenty of Georgia fans feel that way themselves. In fact, I'm going to let Georgia fans talk about how they feel about the news of Branson Robinson here coming up in just a couple of moments. I'll take your comments on both Facebook and YouTube, and we'll have a good afternoon here today. Let me remind you, though, before we do that, this is a Kroger commitment special. My name's Brandon Adams. I'm happy to have you as a part of it with us here today. And there's one thing in particular I want you to know about Kroger here before this day ends. For those of you that watch Dawg Nation Daily, the show that I do each and every day around the Dawg Nation platforms, you know we've been telling you about that Kroger 5-Star Kids promotion. This is a really fun thing, and we've been taking entries for our Kroger 5-Star Kids giveaway. We did something like this during Mother's Day for the Kroger 5-Star Moms. This is the kids version of that. So you have a great kid in your life, whether it's your own child or just a child that you know. We've got school coming up. What better time than to really just sort of celebrate those kids in our lives who are really worthy of celebrating, and so many of us know children like that who are. So if you go to dawgnation.com, you can find out more details about this. And you can go to this email address, info@dawgnation.com, and you can actually submit your entry and tell us why the child that you know, the one that you're nominating, should be a Kroger 5-Star Kid. It's an incredible collection of gift cards that we're giving away worth, $250. You got $100 to Kroger, you got $50 to Domino's, $50 to Amazon, $50 to Dick's Sporting Goods. So an incredible collection of gift cards to give away. And we're also going to select 50 of our entrants randomly, and you're going to win one of these Dawg Nation Kroger 5-Star Kids t-shirts. These things I think are awesome. Like, I really want my own children to have some of these if at all possible, although they're not eligible to be the Kroger 5-Star Kid. But I'd love to see them have some of these t-shirts. So really good stuff there. We're going to give away 50 of these. We're going to name 5 Kroger 5-Star Kid winners. So dawgnation.com for more details on that. Or go ahead and submit your entry while you still can. Today is the last day. And don't be like the guy that comes tomorrow afternoon like, hey, BA, can I still get on that Kroger 5-Star Kids thing? They're going to tell me no. Y'all can't do that. You got to do it today. Info@dawgnation.com. Submit your entry, and we'll get you in there, and you'll be entered to win for your chance at being one of those Kroger 5-Star Kids. All right, let's do comments here. By the way, you love to see that. Go Dogs from Kirby Smart. Here on July 22nd, a date we've had circled now for quite some time, and we know how much Smart values those great running backs, and there is a lot to value about Robinson beyond just his running back skills, so nice to see Smart celebrating right there. Really good stuff from him on Twitter. So we'll bounce around. We'll give you a few minutes worth of comments to be shared here, and then we'll let you get back to work here on a Thursday, assuming that's what you're trying to do here today. Javon Perry checking on this conversation, talking about the depth that's going to be existing for Georgia, the running back spot, and obviously that's what you want to do. And here's one of those things where I don't mean to be a wet blanket or a dark cloud, but the fact of the matter is there is a reason why you have to have depth at running back. It's a physical position. And in the SEC, even if you're about to add some of these pillow soft Big 12 teams into this league, even in the SEC, there's brute physicality along the line of scrimmage. It's tough blows being struck to running backs by defensive linemen and linebackers, and the physical strength required, the athleticism required to play this position at the SEC level means you got to have a lot of those guys. It is a position where attrition, unfortunately, is just a reality. It's just a factor in that discussion. So, yeah, you celebrate the guys you currently have, but you also have to be filling those coffers with the next guy in line, and obviously Robinson has the look of being, one of those guys there for sure. Brett Hunter says Robinson's going to be a beast. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to tackle him. I'm telling you that right now. I would not want to tackle him at all. Epic Robinson says, I'm extremely excited, and I think you should be. Kevin Chapman says he's got that Georgia running back body. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things of, if I saw him walking in an airport, I believe I might say, hey, that guy right there looks like he should be a running back for Georgia. I mean, he really looks the part. He really does. And, he sounds like, I like the way this 2022 class talks. I wish I could give you kind of a montage of all these guys together. But listen to Jalen Walker. Listen to Malachi Starks. Listen to Branson Robinson now, who we can now officially name as a member of this class. This is like, like a round table of like distinguished gentlemen when they get together, and, very, very polished, very good spokesman for Georgia. There are a lot of guys that you kind of feel like in this 2022 class kind of have that team captain type vibe. Like, it's very easy to see, them, helmet, underneath the shoulder, walking out to midfield and kind of being that guy for Georgia in that captain's role. It's easy to imagine Robinson doing that one day, and a lot of these other Georgia guys kind of have the same kind of thing. Joel Moody says it kind of reminds him of Derrick Henry, which is obviously high praise indeed. And if that is true, it's Georgia. Look at that flex, by the way. I believe that's called a most muscular pose. That is quite the flex there from Branson Robinson. That almost... It's not, but it almost looks like a Photoshop. Like you take the guy's face, you put it on like the absurdly muscular body. That's what that almost looks like for Robinson there. Like just sort of the absurd, muscular physique with somebody's face on it. That's very, very good stuff. Mike Tiffany pointing out that Georgia had 3 running backs who missed some time last year. You definitely need depth at the position, and you do. Michael Green checking in here to be happy about all of this. That's great to see. Chris Collins also citing the announcement of Robinson as potential momentum for the class. I'm reminded of, that summer of 2017, leading up to National Signing Day for 2018, when it also seemed like for a while that Georgia didn't have much in the way of momentum. And it was the commitment of Zamir White. A lot of folks remember that June 27th date, honoring his mom, that became the start of something really big for Georgia. And, there's a special nature to the date for Branson Robinson here as well, related to his uncle, but nonetheless, the same way in which I'm not saying it was really this way. I'm just sort of saying it seemed that way, that the Zamir White commitment kind of kick-started the momentum that led Georgia to ultimately be number 1 for the class of 2018. Who's to say that Robinson and the pledge, the announcement here today, couldn't play a similar role for the 2022 class there as well? Ace Dawg says the dude's been doing the Herschel workouts. Yeah, I mean, he's in good shape now. And, I think most of these guys would tell you, I'm not going to say it's easy to do this at the college level, but when you get to the college level, you got a lot going for you. And, listen, I'm not, muscular, but some of you are, and you would let me know that the nutrition part of this is just as important as anything, right? It's like if you're trying to add that mass, making sure you get enough protein, if you're trying to get that kind of, defined kind of pro wrestler chiseled look type thing, it's about, making sure you don't have too much of the wrong stuff or whatever else. And obviously as a college athlete, they have special meals designed just for you, and you get as much of it as you want, as much of it as you need. It's just not as easy for a high school player to get that kind of nutrition. It's just hard to do. Plus, high school kids eat honey buns and things like that, and all that kind of junk. So if Robinson, as a high school athlete in the state of Mississippi, kind of already looks that way, kind of working out on his own, doing, as somebody said before, Herschel Walker style workouts, sit-ups and push-ups in between commercials while he's watching TV. I mean, imagine what somebody like that gets in a truly not to say that he's not getting, obviously his coaches and trainers in Mississippi are taking good care of him, but it's just resources. I mean, part of getting the big rocked out physique is about money. And you get that, access to resources in college. But Robinson already looks like kind of a college dude, just from what he's doing there in Mississippi. Patrick Harris kind of compares him to Mark Ingram, which is a very interesting comparison. Of course, Ingram goes on to win a Heisman Trophy. Quentin Palmer says he's going to be a good running back. Nick Chubb 2.0 might be a little bit bigger than Chubb. I mean, I'd love to see that side-by-side comparison because it's kind of hard. You get the picture of Chubb as a high school guy. Think about him in track, a lot of those famous photos. At least in my mind, it seems like Robinson might be a little bigger than Chubb coming out of high school maybe, although there's a chance that I'm just not remembering that correctly. DMAR42 says, this guy's next up in my book after Kendall Milton. Wonder what that room's going to look like and if K-Mac and Dejon stick around. I mean, listen, I think there's, no obvious reason to worry that anybody's going to be looking to, jet out or anything like that. I mean, Georgia's pretty good at getting these backs kind of involved in this. But the comparison to Kendall Milton, I think, is an interesting one because, Milton, I don't believe, was ever ranked as the number one running back in the class of 2020. But for the most part, he was always the top target amongst Georgia fans. Now, yes, eventually, once Milton was committed, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, we spent a lot of time talking about Zach Evans because we thought Georgia needed another running back. But while it was open market time and everybody was available, I mean, Kendall Milton was always the people's choice with those 2020 running backs. And Robinson's kind of the same way. He's not the number one running back in the country right now either. But he has been the number one running back target of Georgia fans for as long as I can remember, since we've really been talking about the 2022 recruiting class. Robinson's been the guy we've talked about most prominently. So it's an interesting comparison that sometimes Georgia fans just sort of latch on to somebody and that guy sort of becomes their guy no matter where he's ranked. And I think for Georgia fans, you'd have a hard time convincing them that Robinson isn't the best running back in the country. And I think a lot of that was also true for Milton for the class of 2020, regardless of where he actually finished the rankings there that year. Do a few more comments here. Let's see. Look at Del McGee giving you the end zone stalker. You love to see that from McGee. Giving you a nice collection of a very good group of Georgia running backs there. There's Garrison Hurst. There's Noshawn Marino. Look at Del McGee giving you the full gamut there of great Georgia running backs. Was that Willie McClendon, Sonny Michel, Todd Gurley? You add to that group the great name of Branson Robinson now for sure. Really good-looking montage by Del McGee going end-zone stalkers with the RBU, and that is a fun thing there from Coach McGee all the way around. Ace Dawg says best running back in the room. Let me try that one more time. Sometimes words are hard. Ace Dawg says the best running back room in the nation just got even better. You may be very right about that. Back over here on Facebook, Jamie Richardson says, actually, I'm not sure what it is that he says, but I'm glad he's commenting nonetheless. George Herndon says he's a hoss, will be a great dog, and I think hoss is a great word there. Bill Sanders also loving the Del McGee tweet. Yeah, you gotta love the appreciation for history, and this is one of the things for Georgia fans, and this is not changing. Like, JT Daniels may throw 100 touchdown passes this year, probably won't, but you know what I'm saying. Georgia may just be a great passing attack this year. Even if that happens, Georgia fans still want to run the football. And this is a program that's still going to want to have that RBU legacy. And the good news is, in modern times, and I talked to Terrence Edwards about this today on Dawg Nation Daily, you don't have to sacrifice the running game to throw the football anymore. In fact, it's actually throwing the football that extends possessions and increases the likelihood that you can get all the rushing yards that you feel like should come your way. But Georgia fans are just a unique breed in that a guy like Del McGee puts a package together of Robert Edwards and Garrison Hurst and everybody else that kind of showed up there on that particular list there. That's going to kind of ignite that Georgia fan because she likes the thought of the team being thought of as an RBU. DMart42 wants a blank check for Del McGee. I mean, I got to imagine at some point in time he may be like Charles Huff, who recently left Alabama's running backs coach to go be head coach at Marshall. But other than actually getting the nod to be a head coach, which I obviously support Del McGee doing, I think McGee should be a head coach, and I think sooner rather than later he probably will be. Now, it's going to stink not to have him as running backs coach at Georgia anymore, but McGee's the kind of guy who ought to be have a chance to be a head coach there. Harry Pitt says you have to have the running game to open up the passing game, and I'm almost not so sure in college football. In fact, I kind of think it's almost the other way around, that it's your ability to throw the ball on first and second down, and in the first and second quarter, it's your ability to strike with those knockout blows early in the game and actually give you a chance to run the ball as much as you want to. All right, let's do a couple more, and we'll get ready to move on here. Bash on Rob talking about multiple tacklers needed to bring down Robinson. Yeah, you certainly get the case that might be true. George Herndon also saying Dogs will always be RBU, which is a fun thing to think about. Bill Sanders wants half 100 points hung on those lousy stinking Gators. I'm right there with you on that. Jay Ricks also pointing out, this is kind of off the topic we've been discussing, but it's worth mentioning here because a couple of people have said it. I haven't seen all of it yet. It happened today. But apparently Eli Drinkwitz put on quite a show, including in the aftermath of the big fight at Florida against Florida, Missouri a year ago. Jay Rick says that Drinkwitz says that he was praying for snow when Florida comes to town because Dan's going to be complaining about everything anyway. Tell you right now, we called this going into the week, and I think it's turned out to be true. Eli Drinkwitz is a big-time personality and did a great job at SEC Media Days here today. Frank Patterson says he thinks that Arch Manning, the 2023 quarterback, may be paying close attention to the decision for Branson Robinson here today. That could indeed very much be true on that. Keith Rucker also checking in here in the YouTube comment section. Kyle Norton asks, is there cover 4 tonight? Yes, we will have cover 4 live tonight. No Jeff Sintel, but I'll be there. Connor Riley will be there. Jeff Sintel will be there. Mike Griffith will be there. Mike's been in Charlotte for ACC Media Days. Obviously, we were all in Hoover for SEC Media Days. We'll have a lot on the potential SEC expansion, Oklahoma and Texas into this league, at least the overtures that suggest that's a strong possibility. We'll discuss that. Let me also say this here really quickly before we get said and done, because this is in the kind of honesty compels me to admit category. So we know that Robinson's now in the fold for UGA, and we will celebrate that. We're also with an eye towards 5 p.m. this evening. I'll show you the tweet here on the screen from Denied Dennis Sutton, the 4-star defensive lineman, probably an edge rusher at a place like Georgia. Think of him more as maybe an outside linebacker, but ultimately that's more of a hypothetical discussion than any kind of real discussion. Dennis Sutton's going to make his announcement today at 5 p.m., but it is still not really thought that Georgia has a lot of a toehold in this really one way or another, that it looks like when Denied and Sutton makes his announcement. I'm not trying to spoil his moment, but I don't believe that Georgia is watching this one all too closely. So the original plan was to probably do 2 videos today, one now and then one later on. If Denied Dennis Sutton gave Georgia some good news, we'll still be paying attention to it, but the odds are that DDS is going to PSU and not to UGA, if you're comfortable with that many acronyms in one sentence. So the next time we all speak to each other will be 7:30 tonight on the Dog Nation video channels for Cover 4 Live. But let's finish on the great note. Let's show you the graphic one more time on the screen of a very good-looking Branson Robinson in the Georgia uniform. The word committed carries a lot of weight with Dog fans right now, as Robinson will be the next in line at the place known as Running Back University. Big thanks to Kroger for making this Kroger Commitment Special possible. We're able to all share in this good news together. Y'all have a good afternoon. I'll see you tonight for Cover 4 Live. Back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. in this very studio for Dog Nation Daily Live, also presented by Kroger, as luck would have it. So we will see you there for all of that. Have a great afternoon, everybody.